Unit 9, Lesson 78, Adverbs of Degree. We will start from the adverbs, and after we are going to talk about the adjectives. Adverbs of degree. Adverbs of degree tell us about the intensity of something. Okay, remember this word, intensity. They are usually placed before the adjective, another adverb, or the verb that they modify. Again, we use the adverbs of degree before the adjective. So adverbs of degree, they modify adjectives, they modify other adverbs, and they modify verbs. Okay, let's see them individually. Adverbs of degree can modify a verb. Okay, he hardly talks to his boss. Okay, what's the intensity? Hardly, very rare. He hardly talks to his boss. Okay, she has almost finished. Okay, so we have the verbs, talks, and then the adverb. We have the verb, then the adverb. Okay, then it can also modify an adjective. Okay, she is polite. She is extremely polite. Okay, I'm giving more degree. Okay, more intensity to the politeness. She's extremely polite. Okay, that movie is quite interesting. That movie is quite interesting. Okay, and adverbs of degree can modify an adverb. She plays piano well. She plays piano very well. Very well. Okay, very well. You're driving slowly. You're driving too slowly, right? So we have adverbs that end in ly. We have adverbs that don't end in ly. And then you have adverbs that come from the adjectives good, well, okay? We call them irregular adverbs, right? Let's see some exercises to practice a little bit. And the thing is, in Portuguese, we tend, it's not a rule, okay? It's not a rule of thumb. A rule of thumb, okay? That's an expression in English. It's not a rule of thumb, something very common. It's something like the norm, but we tend to avoid the use of adverbs in Portuguese, right? We usually don't use adverbs in Portuguese. But in English, they are immensely used. So let's make sure that we incorporate the adverbs in our daily conversations, right? They're super common in English. We have two exercises here. The second one is more like a revision of the adverbs that you have studied in the basic level, just to see if you remember them. But this exercise here is more related to this unit. Let's see if you can place these adverbs from the box into the sentences. Yeah, so you're going to press pause now. You're going to do both exercises, this one and this one. And after that, we are going to correct them together, right? So press pause now and do the exercise. All right, let's correct them together. I felt lucky. I felt lucky. I felt strongly, very, too, incredibly, almost, pretty, largely, unusually, thoroughly, really. I felt incredibly lucky. That's a collocation. Do you remember what is a collocation? A collocation is a word partnership. So words that usually go together in English. So you can say I felt lucky or I felt incredibly lucky. Incredibly. So one is incredibly. And don't forget the pronunciation of the words ending in Y. E, strongly, very, incredibly, pretty, largely, unusually, throughoutly, really. Don't forget to pronounce the E for the words that end in Y. Y, letra do mineiro. Okay, Y. Number two. The doctor recommended. Another collocation. The doctor strongly recommended. The doctor... The doctor strongly recommended that we take 2 or 3 opinions before we made the decision. So strongly recommended. 3. I understand. The most common collocation here is to say I completely understand, or completely, or I totally understand. But then you have a synonym in English, which is I thoroughly, I completely, I totally understand you, right? Very nice collocation with that verb for you to use in your vocabulary. I thoroughly understand you. I thoroughly understand the situation and would like to help you anyway. Okay? 4. That the hall was occupied by the protesters. It was packed. The hall was largely occupied, okay? Largely. Not completely, but largely. There were many people. Largely occupied. 5. That shouldn't be very difficult. Okay? That shouldn't be very difficult. 6. The game went on well. Pretty well. You know, pretty in this case can be seen as bastante, okay? Pretty well, even with all of the fuss, okay? Pretty well. Pretty good, pretty well. Good collocations for you to use. Very common. 7. That test wasn't hard, was it? That test wasn't too hard, was it? Okay, that test wasn't too hard, was it? 8. It was sultry. Sultry means abafado. Sultry. Abafado. It was unusually sultry in Singapore last week. Okay? Unusually. 9. You better speed up. You better speed up. You're almost out of time. You're almost out of time. And number 10, he felt really bad for having shouted at you earlier. He felt really bad. Really bad. Really is like a jack of all trades, another expression. No? A jack of all trades. It's like coringa, pau pra toda obra. Jack of all trades. We can use it in many situations, in many contexts, okay? Really adapts to many contexts. And we use it quite often. Huh? Right, let's move to the letter B. Complete the sentences below with the correct answers. If you haven't done it yet, press pause now and do it. All right, now let's correct it together. That's a lovely jacket. Lovely here is the adjective. Adjective, because jacket is a noun. So it's a lovely jacket. Very used in British English. In American too, but in British English it's very common. It really suits you. It really suits you when something looks good on you. It really suits you. Do you think this cap? Do you think this cap suits me? That I look more serious with this cap? What do you think? One letter B. B. 2. They didn't read the instructions very carefully. Very carefully. They didn't read. Carefully is the way they did. If you have questions, concerns about the adverbs, I recommend you to go to the basic book and check the unit about adjectives and adverbs. because it could be handy to help you understand better, to have a better grasp of this information here. So 2, letter D. 3, it's the most interesting book I've ever read. The most interesting. Interesting is an adjective, most adverb. Adverb modifying an adjective. 3, letter C. 4, he didn't arrive early enough to catch the train. He didn't arrive early enough to catch the train. 5, the deadline has passed. Finished. It's too late to apply for the job. The deadline has passed. It's too late. Excessively, okay? And number 6, could you walk more slowly, please? Here we have 2 adverbs. Slowly is one adverb. Then you have more slowly, another adverb. Okay, one adverb modifying another adverb. 6, letter C. Okay? We are just warming up, okay? Relax, sit back. Next lesson, we're going to go a little bit higher in this topic, okay? So come on board. I'm waiting for you in the next lesson. See you soon.